Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I'm back with yet another band you need to hear recommendation. Another recommendation of a band. If you've never heard their music, you've never come across them before, then you seriously need to rectify that. You need to check this stuff out. So today's recommendation comes from the USA, Connecticut to be specific. Formed in 2018, I believe. This is a modern, brutal death metal band. A very, very good band, I must say. One that came across my radar totally by happenstance, totally by chance. Just happened to see them. I think it was on Spotify or YouTube. It was a recommendation. And boy, am I pleased that I went down that rabbit hole because this is a freaking fantastic band. I am indeed talking about Vomit Forth. This being their debut album, Seething Malevolence. And they are an absolutely brilliant band, I have to say. And there seems to be a real resurgence or a real trend of these kind of brutal but heavily groove-orientated death metal bands. Certainly coming out of the USA at the minute. They have a really, really healthy underground death metal scene. Something clearly in the water because we've just had tons of these great bands from the likes of Tomb Mold through to more recently Sanguis Suggerbog. Try saying that when you've had 10 pints. And bands like 200 Stab Wounds. There's just loads and loads of bands. Vomit Forth being one of them that's just really packing a seriously hefty punch. And as I alluded to there, this is brutal death metal, I would say, because it is seriously heavy stuff. But it's massively weighty in terms of its riffs. These are huge, chugging riffs. Not overly complex, not overly technical or progressive or complicated. Instead of all that, we've got tons of groove. This is serious headbang along to stuff. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the, should we say, like the slam kind of, or the slamming death metal kind of style, akin to bands like Dehumanize or Internal Bleeding, Cranium, bands like that. I mean, there's so many of these bands out there that are incorporating seriously heavy death metal with tons and tons of groove, so you can headbang along to and throw some serious fists. But these guys, Vomit Forth, are absolutely awesome. So they've got a couple of releases under their belt. They've got the one full-length album, Seething Malevolence, which I believe came out in 2022. The debut album. Not an overly long album. I think it's about 29-30 minutes long, but it's just one barbaric bludgeoning after another. And they've also got this particular release, which is entitled Northern Deprivation. Try and show that off without too much glare, but as we can see with the little sticker at the top here, this is a reissue of an EP. So Northern Deprivation being one of their EPs from 2019, I believe. But this reissue includes bonus tracks from the 2021 promo, and it also includes a few other sort of bonus tracks as well. And I believe it also includes another EP. So essentially this is pretty much a compilation of EPs and promo and bonus stuff. Interesting bit of artwork going on there. Could almost have a sort of a war metal, black metal kind of association there, because it looks a little bit black metal in nature. It's got that kind of vibe going on. But actually this is a really enjoyable recording. It's not overly long, but it's got some absolutely monstrous, beastie tracks on here. Tracks such as Immortal Disseverance, Pillars of Rot is another beastie track, as is Inherent Laceration. Other particularly great ones, we've got Torn Open, Lethal Impulse is a beastie track, and we've got a Brutal Truth cover, in fact, of Ill Neglect as well, just thrown in for good measure. So this is a nice kind of completionist piece, but also it showcases the earlier material from Vomit Forth. And I would say this is pretty original stuff. I wouldn't say that this is copycat, this isn't Suffer clone kind of material. This is pretty original, heavily groovy, seriously weighty death metal. Very good indeed. So Northern Deprivation, a decent listen as well. Definitely one for the fans of the more brutal end and the groovier end of the death metal spectrum. It's a cool release. Pick it up for, I don't know, less than a tenner, so it's worth doing. But the real beauty in their catalogue is this debut album. As I say, Seething Malevolence. This is punishing. Kick off with the track entitled Untitled, which is always a good start. Just to throw a little bit of confusion in there. But that is a seriously heavy track, tons of groove in there. We just seem to get weighty, barbaric bludgeoning after another, though, in the form of tracks like Pain Tolerance, a little bit of a kind of hardcore vibe as well in there. At times there's a little bit of a sort of a thrashier pace, but we're not talking like lightning fast, shredding riffs by any means, just groove, just a little bit more up-tempo groove. Unrecognizable is an absolute monster of a track, very much in that kind of gruesome, grotesque slam kind of style. The title track is ominous and brutal, Seething Malevolence. Severely Wounded is one of my favourite tracks on the album. That is absolutely guaranteed to bust your neck in two. That is a weighty monster of a track. I Feel Nothing. Again, it's got that kind of hardcore edge to it. Lots of attitude, plenty of aggression. Predatory Saviour, massive. And then we've got the slightly longer paced closing track, Pious Killing Floor, with its kind of creepy outro part as well. So overall, as I say, it's about half an hour long, this album. But it's freaking awesome. It's a heavy, heavy album. Picked that up on Amazon for about £5. And then I just happened to stumble upon this on eBay, new and sealed US import, for a tenner. And I just couldn't resist, because it's such a freaking good album anyway. It's just a black vinyl, but it's a lovely piece to have. It's a lovely thing. Nice insert there with all your lyrics. It's also produced, or I should say mixed and mastered, more accurately, by Arthur Rizk. Very notorious figure. A name that has mixed or mastered so many bands, so many albums. Everyone from, I think, Power Trip Association to Go Ahead and Die, one of the latest sort of Cavalera outings. Very notorious figure indeed. Album is actually produced by Vomit Forth, no less, who leave their mark well. But this is a great debut album. Short and sweet, heavy as hell. Definitely one for fans of Sanguisugabogg. Definitely one for fans of Cannibal Corpse. I'm trying to think of some more kind of like more suited recommendations there, but it's definitely Cannibal Corpse, Sanguisugabogg, probably a little bit of Cranium in there. Plenty of weighty riffs, so much groove. It's just intoxicating, bludgeoning death metal. Not trying to reinvent the wheel, nor is it going to absolutely shatter the extreme music world and kind of crown these guys the kings of death metal, but it is certainly a thoroughly enjoyable listen. Definitely worth checking out. So do make sure that you check out that absolutely brilliant debut album, Seething Malevolence. In particular, you want to check out tracks Pain Tolerance, the title track, Seething Malevolence, and Severely Wounded. And then you want to check out the Northeastern Deprivation, I should say, kind of compilation, which includes some absolute beasts, certainly in the form of Immortal Disseverance, Inherent Laceration, and I'd say probably Torn Open. Just absolute beasts of tracks. Check it out. There you have it, my friends. A band you need to hear in the form of Vomit Forth from Connecticut, USA. Do check them out. If you are a fan, let me know what you think. But make sure you catch them on their upcoming UK run or European run alongside, I believe it's Cattle Decapitation and Signs of the Swarm, and I believe it's 200 Stab Wounds, but don't quote me on that. So do catch them on the road if you can, if you get a chance, because they're a freaking awesome band indeed. Thanks very much for watching, my friends. Do feel free to comment, share your thoughts. Do feel free to like and subscribe. Please do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. But above all, my friends, do take care of yourselves and stay heavy.